Kia ora koutou, Markie here in a noisy, echoey, strangely lit and unsalubrious location. I'm making the best use of time because I'm waiting, and I wanted to do a video. I wanted to squeeze in a video as a kind of preamble to something that's coming. And I wanted to, the thing that's coming is a bit of a doozy. It might be quite a long one or a series, and that's going to come out on Patreon. Which is going to be talking about energy vampirism and energy sucking and things like that. Now that's a bit woo-woo for YouTube, and also it's kind of something that some people will kind of know about already. Some people have some understanding of, but in order to understand that, you need to understand what we mean by energy. So this is a video about energy. Now, when I say energy, I don't mean gas and oil and things like that. I'm talking about something which is sometimes called bioenergy. Two great ancient cultures that had a lot of wisdom around things like health, medicine, and spirituality, enlightenment. So we're talking about the origins of yoga and Tai Chi and things like that, acupuncture, everything really, are India and China. So India had the Ayurvedic system, which is a system of medicine, system of health and food, and from also the same Indian culture came yoga, came various different kind of spiritual paths, and from the Taoist tradition in China, Taoist spelled with a T by the way, came acupuncture and Tai Chi and Feng Shui and all kinds of things, geomancy, Chinese traditional medicine. Both of which were very big on energy. They didn't call it energy, the Chinese called it qi or qi. So things like Tai Chi and Aikido, that word, that qi or qi, means the same thing. And in the Ayurvedic or the Indian systems, they called it prana. So what this theory is about is that there, as well as the kind of the physical, there is something that runs parallel to it and intersects with it, which is a more subtle form of energy, which is nonetheless essential to life. So, for example, if you look at Chinese medicine, they work a lot with energy meridians. So look at the interesting thing about Chinese medicine, the Chinese doctors, is they study Western medicine and they study traditional Chinese medicine. So you kind of get the best of both worlds with Chinese doctors. But one of the things that they work with a lot is the qi. So where they will work with things like the nervous system and the adrenal system and the circulatory system, they'll work with all of that, but they'll also say that there's something on top of that that's making the human body either function well or not function so well, and that's the energy or the qi. And within the body, that flows through meridians. Acupuncture will work by sometimes targeting different points on the same meridian, or working to improve the flow of energy in that particular meridian. So what they'll say is that an organ can maybe, according to kind of Western medicine and Western testing, be functioning just fine, but a Chinese practitioner would say that the qi is low or the qi is too high in that area. So they're working on balancing this energy system. Okay? So, so some people will find this a bit too woo-woo. They say, well, can you measure it? I have heard, now and then it does come up that somebody has been able to measure this. I'm not sure how much that's true and how much we are able to measure it. So things like reflexology also work with that system. So acupuncture, reflexology work with the meridians, and Tai Chi works with the meridians. It's among other things, it's a way of moving that enables a better flow along the meridians. So the energy kind of flows within us through channels, through little kind of roadways, if you like. That's the theory. I don't ever expect you to believe anything on this channel. So I just talk about what's believed and what's understood. And it also radiates beyond us. And this is something that's more commonly talked about in kind of Western cultures. So among healers and spiritualists and New Age people, they talk about the aura, which is the energy that extends beyond the physical body. Which essentially is made of the same thing but different densities. So people, psychics and mediums will say, I can see your aura, or people say, what colour is my aura, or what's my aura, what's the state of my aura at the moment. Some of the beliefs around that are that there are different densities of energy within us. So we're a bit like kind of Russian dolls. So the physical is the densest, and then you have the what you call the etheric, which is a layer of energy that all of these exist within us as well as without us, which is kind of quite close to the physical body and very closely aligned to the structures of the physical body. And then you get progressively more subtle forms of energy that extend further and further outwards. So people talk about the astral body and the causal body and the mental body and stuff like that. So that's what we're talking about with energy. Now, according to this kind of theory, we wouldn't just say that energy is something that exists in people. We'd say it exists pretty much in everything, really, but in a different way. I think it exists in a living thing in a different, in a more vibrant way than it would in rock. But I think a lot of people from a lot of traditions would say that there's energy within the whole of the Earth, and the Earth probably has an aura, and the Earth maybe has meridians, and that we can access divine energy. So I did a video on healing a little while back. Most certainly spiritual healing usually involves people trying to channel the divine energy, or sometimes they call it the universal energy. So by universal they mean kind of the everything. So it's almost like you can kind of tap into the whole, if you like, the whole of the universal energy, and channel stuff from there, which is kind of which can be concentrated and directed. So I'm not telling you to believe any of this stuff, okay? But this is some of the theory behind it, okay? So what else can we say about energy? Is the other theory is that when we meet with people, we react to them, through our senses. But we also pick up on people's energy. That's why sometimes we can take an instant like or an instant dislike to people. There's all kinds of other phenomena around energy, including the fact that some people can drain our energy, or that's one of the beliefs. That's what I want to talk about, and I'm itching to talk about that in another video. So energy, not something that Newtonian science has been able to measure, or as far as I'm aware. I mean, there are things like Kirlian photography. There is also, it's been proven that human beings and living things have a electromagnetic field around them. But that's actually kind of something that's believed to be something different. So we all have an electromagnetic field around us, but the energetic aura is believed to be something different that kind of is in parallel to that. And there's loads of kind of beliefs about energy. There's good energy, bad energy. So one of the theories is that some places we might not feel very comfortable, we don't like the feel of it. That's because of energy. And sometimes, particularly in New Age circles, people talk about lower vibration and higher vibration. So higher vibration would be something divine or angelic, or of a higher nature, and something of a lower vibration would potentially be heebie-jeebies. But certainly lower vibrations would also pertain to emotions as well. So if you go into one theory would be that say there's a house where there's been lots of domestic violence, there's been lots of tension, lots of fear, lots of arguments, all kinds of nasty stuff going on, that would build up a negative energy, which is the lower vibration. So positive and negative is one term people use. High vibration, low vibration is another word that people use. And things like homeopathy are believed to work on an energetic. So lots of complementary therapies are believed to work on an energetic level rather than the physical level. So things like acupuncture. It's interesting because people can have acupuncture. Acupuncture can be used to treat a physical symptom. So say you've got a gammy leg and you have acupuncture for it, and the gammy leg doesn't improve. That doesn't mean that the acupuncture didn't work, because essentially acupuncture, first and foremost, is working with the energy. So it might actually improve your energy flow, but it still might not solve your gammy leg. Maybe because there's something else that's preventing your gammy leg from healing. Maybe another condition, or maybe your diet, or maybe there's an infection there that's persistent. So acupuncture shouldn't necessarily be judged by the physical results. Same with spiritual healing, same with Reiki. Same with a whole bunch of things, really. Reflexology works, and so reflexology is working through the meridians, but where they kind of reach an end point on the feet. So as you treat the feet, you're treating everything that's along that meridian. So I hope that kind of makes sense. So, you can, according to this theory, you can be very depleted of energy. You can have plenty. Your blood sugar may be fine. You might be kind of fit and healthy on lots of different levels, but you still could have low chi or low energy. Although more likely, if you do have low chi, then you are probably likely to start developing physical symptoms, because the belief is that they very much interface and interconnect with one thing or another. And like I say, homeopathy as well, which kind of very controversial, but homeopathy is energetic, what they call energetic medicine. So people say that there's the doses of the active ingredient in homeopathy cannot have a physiological chemical effect on the body, but the theory behind homeopathy is that they have an effect on the energy. Crystals, that's the thing. Crystals is people that use crystals. I mean, crystals are a whole big subject. So, but essentially, crystals are for manipulating energy, storing energy, channeling energy, containing energy, changing energy. Lots of beliefs around that, and of course, a lot of witchcraft is about directing energy, and kind of what they call baleful magic or baleful witchcraft may involve directing negative energy at people. So yeah, energy, prana, chi, all belief system, all theory. I'm not telling you should believe in any of this stuff, but when people talk about this will kind of hopefully make sense. Chakras. People talk about chakras. New Age people are always going on about their chakras. So a chakra. So how can I explain this? I want to keep this video fairly brief. So chakras are basically, they are points where lots of energy meridians will meet. Okay, and it comes from a Sanskrit word which means wheel, because they're round and they spin, or that's the belief. And the chakras tend to be on the center line of there's supposed to be loads of minor chakras, but the major ones, there's 7 of them, which is interesting that 7 is often a sacred number. And they're, for example, the third eye, the throat, the heart center, the solar plexus, just below the belly button, and then down towards the genitals. And it's quite interesting that they do certainly connect with emotion, because when people talk about love, they're always talking about their heart and feelings in their heart. When people talk about jealousy or kind of some forms of intuition, they kind of like gut feeling. People talk about the down there in the belly, and there's the third eye, which exists in lots of different traditions, which is kind of the psychic center. There's also the crown chakra at the top as well, which is about connecting to divine. And it's interesting that lots of religious traditions have some kind of head covering, or they expose the crown of their head, like how the monks used to have a tonsure. So there's some interesting parallels, even in the Western religious traditions like Christianity and Islam. So that's the chakras, and the chakras are associated with different colours, as energy is associated with different colours. So one of the ways that psychics will see energy, if you like, is they'll see it as different colours, and the different chakras are associated with different colours, and they have different functions. So what they're like, in a sense, is they are non-physical organs. They are believed to process energy, and kind of actually help generate energy. And they're made up of subtle energy, so they're not physical, but they're connected to physical. And often places like, for example, the solar plexus, it's called the solar plexus because there's a plexus or grouping conjunction of nerves there. So they are plexi, energetic plexi that kind of correlate with the physical plexi. So I mean, there's loads of stuff on this if you want to, especially chakras. New Age people love talking about chakras. But this is what we mean by energy. Okay, so it's not how energetic you are. It's not how bouncy you are and how much you get done in a day. although it relates to that. It relates to health, it relates to spirituality, it relates to well-being, it relates to everything. And the belief around energy is that everything is interconnected, and essentially everything is energy. Even physical matter is, you know, we know it's molecules and particles vibrating, but the belief would be that you know, it's the energy that's even more subtle, that's holding the molecules together and holding the particles together and that kind of thing. So, like I say, don't take my word for any of this. This is all theory, and I'm looking forward to a really juicy Patreon video on energy sucking. So I'll give you a little taste, a little tease of that. It's, have you ever met people that when you talk to them, you feel absolutely drained afterwards, and it feels like they're kind of sucking the life force out of you? There's a lot to be said about that, and this connects as well to a video I did about a song, Fields of the Nephilim song, recently, which was about something very similar. So I shall, having whet your appetite, I shall say goodbye for now. I'm wishing you all good energy, and Rangimarie.